Hello, everyone. Welcome back to KimUnity Soulutions Podcast. I am your host, Kim the SME, and here is where I empower and inspire employees and all of those business leaders to improve their relationships and environments within and beyond the workplace. Welcome back to another week. I am so excited to be with you all. I hope you all have had a wonderful start to your week. Last week, if you were here with us, I discussed basically layoffs, and not necessarily the act of layoffs, but how the employees are being notified these days. It's been all in the news. And so today's episode is basically a continuation, just on the other side of it. Today's episode is laid on. And you may be asking yourself, Kim, what does that mean? What do you mean by laid on? This is the effect on the employees that remain, the employees that were not laid off. That's what we're going to be talking about today, to whom the burden has been transferred to. Now, before I get started into that, it's a little difficult when you're speaking and there's an end, right? And so as soon as you're done speaking, you remember, oh, I should have said this, and oh, I should have said that. So in continuation, real quick, on the last episode of being laid off, and I said the title was Laid Off the Right Way. Okay. Is there a right way to be laid off? And in that, I talked about all of the negative feelings, but I didn't talk about the positive, if there is one. And I know if you're going through it right now, you don't want to hear it, but I'm going to say that there is a brighter side, because that time that you have off right now, when you're ready, you can look at it as some rest time, as some recoup time to spend with family. And I say this because I reflect back on when I was let go, when I was laid off. I was able to go and visit some family who really needed me at that time. Had I been employed, I probably would have. I know I would have used up all of my sick time, all of my PTO. It would have been unpaid. So there is another way of looking at being laid off. If you had a hobby, maybe you can make this a full-time business. Maybe there's a new journey for you or a new path. Depending on your expectations and your mindset, that is what you will see. And I'm speaking from experience. That's what SME stands for, speaker of my experiences. So I just want to leave you with that yes, it hurts. It's painful. There's a lot of decisions that need to be made. You may need to turn off a few things. You may have to borrow. I don't know what you have to do. But in the meantime, in between time, know that there is better ahead. So I just wanted to leave you with that, because I didn't leave you with that in that episode. Okay, so let's get into it. So laid on, I just explained to you that this is basically pertaining to the employees who were not let go, who are still on the job, but now they have to take on the burden of all those who were let go. Have you ever experienced that? There's so much to discuss regarding this, because I remember during this time, before I was laid off, there were other departments being laid off. There were other people, and there were just these sighs of relief, and also the concern, as I laid out in the previous episode, and how you want everyone to be well, and you want everybody to, and especially when you've been working with people for so long, you kind of know some of their personal experiences and their current situations, especially if, you were friends with them, or you were very cordial, or you had those talks on the side. So the people that are laid on, they are at some point breathing a sigh of relief, because, okay, I still have another day. I still have another week. But while you are there, you're wondering, am I next? Am I next? How you handle this experience and these times says a lot about your character and a lot about who you are. Now, as I was saying, there were people that were laid off before me. And so when that happens, you're wondering, okay, am I next, or what's going on? Or maybe it's just that department. It's very important for the business leaders to really communicate what's going on so that rumor mill won't start to affect the remaining employees. It's very important to keep those open lines of communication open. I can't stress that enough. Along with being the ones who are laid on is the survivor's guilt. Survivor's guilt. You may not have experienced it, but someone else may have. Maybe you know that you weren't the best one to keep. Maybe you know that you never gave it your all like Susan did, or like Tyler, or like Taylor, or like Tyrone. You weren't the top producer. So maybe there is some kind of survivor's guilt. Maybe you know that you were in a better situation to be let go than someone else, than some of your other coworkers. So there are people out there that had that survivor's guilt. What is laid on those employees that remain? What's laid on is the workload. The workload is laid on because although those employees are gone, that work is still there and it still needs to get done. And there's still deadlines. So those employees that remain have their work cut out for them. I've even seen it where there are layoffs and then the company goes and hires more people. Maybe temp workers to assist. But many times they're not trying to hire more people. They want to utilize the people that are still there. And so responsibilities will be increasing. How do you handle that? And I'm not here to speak on what is legally right. You'll have to speak to your attorney about that. I'm just speaking from the human perspective, the employee perspective, but at the human level. This is what my podcast is all about. How do you handle that workload? And there are different people, there are different personalities, there are different goals. So some people will take it all on to show the manager or the leader that I can do it. I am the person for the job. Others will say, I'm not taking this on. I will be going home at 8 o'clock, 5 o'clock. I will be getting here at 8. There are people who won't mind taking work home. There will be people that aren't able to do so or are not willing to do so. Who are you? Which one of these people are you? What has been your experience? Now, for me, honestly speaking, I've been both, but majority of the time is I can do it. And I say that because there were times where we had people who were no longer in our department that I did have to pick up the slack. And this was not regarding a layoff or anything. And I did it because it was basically, I've always been raised to do my best. It wasn't out of competition. It's never been out of competition. It's about finding better ways. It's about finding shortcuts. So I was able to do more work because I could think through it. I could process it and I can figure out a better way of doing it. And that is one of my gifts of being efficient. So it's not that I was taking on more work, but it wasn't taking me as long to do it. And I know that there is a lot of pushback on my types, but I can't help it. It's just in me. It's just in me. And I've always been raised, even as a child, is you don't have to. I'm trying to figure out the word my father used to say, but he used to say, you're a genius. You are a genius. Don't let anyone make you feel less than. It is okay to raise your hand. It is okay to always answer the questions. Like that was me. Not out of competition, but it was out of my own will, my own competition. Can I get this? Can I get an A on this test? Can I do it? Is there a better way? So that is me. That is my experience. And along with these different personalities and these different goals and this different work ethic comes along morale, decreased morale. Other people are looking at you as competition. Depending how those layoffs were, how the employees were notified of the layoffs, that plays an important role on the people that remain. Was there integrity in it? Was it respectful? Did they find out through the grapevine? Were they straightforward? Was it a mass text message? Was it a mass Zoom call with no empathy? I mean, these are things that people take into consideration, consciously or subconsciously. What does it feel like to be laid on? And of course, there's relationships that have been made there. So people are still in contact with each other. So they are speaking to each other and they are sharing stories and what happened and how they were notified. And then that information comes back to the workplace. I mean, these are real stories. These are real stories. This is how those reviews are left on, what is that website? Open Door, Glassdoor, something to that effect, where you're reading the reviews and you're like, wow, I don't want to work there. Or if this is last resort. So to all the business leaders, it's important on what your staff sees and what they hear and what you're telling them and what you're displaying and how you treat people. Please keep that in mind, because your actions, your responses, your words, how you treat people, it is all seen, even though it may not be acknowledged, even though it may not be commented on or spoken to you about. People see and they move accordingly. And that's how you gain a reputation, whether it good or bad. You can only portray something for so long. It's in these instances, in these times, where the true colors do come out. So please be mindful of that. During this time, when there's more work, there's more deadlines, there's more processes, there's more learning curve. So there could be more micromanagement. Everyone's under a close eye. There's less people in the department. So how long are you taking those lunch breaks? How long are you off the clock? Are you leaving early? Are you coming in late? All of that is much more visible because they're trying to figure out, how is this work going to get done? How is it going to get done? When you lay off people, especially with the customer-facing employees, with the front line, that's where your customer satisfaction comes in. Can they tell that there have been major changes, a major shift? How is this affecting the culture? What are you imprinting into the employees that's relaying it to the vendors, that's relaying it to the customers, that the shareholders and the stakeholders and the investors are hearing or feeling or seeing? And a lot of times that public image is not always accurate. But what is that long-term vision looking like? These are just things for you to think about. I would love to hear your viewpoint, your perspective on what it feels like to be laid on. What has been laid on you? And it's not always negative, because there's definitely room for growth now, because there's more positions, there's more opportunity, there's more visibility. So this could be a time for growth for the ones that are showing what they are made of and what they can handle and how they handle stress and how they encourage and empower the team. This could be your opportunity for growth. And I have this podcast because of my experiences in the workplace. Great managers, I've had great companies, but there's also been some challenging times. And in those challenging times, even though I didn't want to, sometimes I didn't even know it, but I was taking that stress home. And so what I realized was that if we start resolving these issues in the workplace, it can permeate throughout the world. If we can make these changes, if we can figure out how to work with each other, how to speak to each other, how to respect each other, how to work together. We spend far too much time at work to be miserable. So if we can figure that out, which is what this podcast is all about, then that positive energy can be transferred to our customers, to our vendors, to our family members, and then they're passing it on. Energy is passed on. How you treat people is passed on. So to everyone that is listening, I want you all to be the change. I want you all to be the change. Champion change. Treat people how you want to be treated. Follow your intuition. Use your discernment. And be understanding, be mindful. Everyone has different lived and unlived experiences. We all have a different viewpoint based on a different circumstance or a different experience. So we need to take all of that into consideration. But guess what? If we all did that, we could come up with some great solutions, some world-changing solutions. And that's what I'm about. That's what this podcast is all about. So to all of those who are listening in and have been laid on because you have inherited some work from those laid on, realize why you're there. Realize and find the benefits that's in it, because you could be on the other side. To all those who have been laid off, my prayers are with you. I understand how you feel. Know that there is a brighter day. Know that there is a brighter day. Seek counseling if you have to, because I know it can be very stressful. Find some quiet time to yourself. Meditate. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not any of that. I am speaking from my own experience. I'm not telling you how to do it. I'm just telling you what has worked. These are just perspectives. This is what this is all about. And I'm asking for anyone that is listening to provide your own perspectives. What worked for you? What worked for you? What would you advise others? All in all, how you handle this moment shows a lot about your character and who you are. It can, if you allow it, bring the best out of you. This is a time people get creative. And I really suggest you to sit back and journal. I was just telling my children not too long ago, maybe a few weeks ago, about how we ended up in the house that we have. And I told them I wrote everything down that I wanted. I went into details about the house that I wanted. I didn't have the credit then. I didn't have the money then. But I just wrote down how many rooms I wanted. Did I want a fireplace? Did I want all my bedrooms upstairs? Did I want a one-story? I wrote it all down. Did I want a fireplace? How many bathrooms did I want? What kind of kitchen did I want? Where was the laundry room going to be? What colors did I see? What did the backyard look like? And I got everything. I got everything that I wanted. Now, the one thing that I wasn't specific about is where I wanted that bathroom, that half bath. Y'all, in Texas, they will put your bathroom in the kitchen. I can't stand that. I can't stand it. I can't stand it, but put those details in. Put those details down. Claim it. Call it how you want it. Speak it. Speak it. To all of the business leaders that are out there, we are calling on you. We are calling on you. And I understand and I know, and I want to empower all employees regardless of title, because we get, I have, we get so caught up in titles, but titles do not demand respect. It only declares your responsibilities and your pay. So let's move away from titles, regardless of how small they are. If you're calling yourself an introvert, stop calling yourself an introvert, because as soon as you say it, I remember when I say it, I just feel less than. I feel like I can't accomplish. I feel like I can't do it. When you start putting titles and saying comfort zone, I stop saying comfort zone because I'm creating a smaller space. No, there are no zones. There are no comfort zones. You just have to do the work. We just have to do the work. When I speak to you, I am speaking to myself. I can't remember the last company that I heard that had some major layoffs. I'm not sure if it was Dell or not. But I'm hoping that, and I'm praying, I will be praying that you all do not lack, that no one is in lack, that everyone is able to rebound and overflow and be able to provide for your families. Because remember, and this is where faith comes in, and I know everyone is not believers. Everyone is not believers, but the benefit of having faith, and I believe I've said this before, is that we have someone or something, depending on what you believe in, we have something or someone that we can put our burdens on. We can place them on. We don't have to carry it ourselves. It's like a relief. It's like a release. So I understand I'm not pushing anything on anyone. This podcast is all about reaching everyone, regardless of race, religion, gender, income, status, geographical location, occupation, all of that good stuff. It's about speaking from your experiences, and this is mine. And even believers, we don't always do it. It takes work. It takes faith, but that is an option. That is an option. So I suggest everyone that's going through it or believe that they may be in the cuts or you're coming out of it, write down what you want. Get you a notebook and write down what you want. I can't say that I've been consistent. I have a dedicated notebook. If I opened it up, it'd probably be dated April something, or, it's always when we start going through something that we want to pull it out for those that are inconsistent in journaling. But I suggest us all write it out, make it plain, and start envisioning it, because once you do that, it will come to pass. It will come to pass. I thank you for tuning in to KimUnity Soulutions Podcast. I never want to leave you all with on a negative mindset. I always want it to be positive. And so I really want you all to have all that you want for yourselves. And may you have it. May you have it. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week. Tune back next week, I should say. I am Kim the SME. As always, I am only speaking from my experience. Have a blessed one. Bye.